Even your emotion had an echo in so much space. And when you out there without care, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know, no. I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. And I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's my only advice. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, bless your soul. You really think you're in control? I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me. My heroes had the heart, lose their lives out on the land. And all I remember is thinking I want to be like them. Oh, yeah. Ever since I was little, it looked like fun. And it's not coincidence I've come. And I could die when I'm done. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe we're crazy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule this Saturday morning to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. I trust that you are well and that you're prospering wherever you are. Please tell me in the comments below if you can hear me. One of the most embarrassing things that could ever happen to any vlogger anywhere in this world is when you go live and then all of a sudden you realize that your microphone is off or something is wrong. And then your audience begins to tell you, Mr. Mwewa, can you please check your volume there? Otherwise, we can't get you. So tell me in the comments below if you can hear me. I'm reading your comments now. And before we get into it today, I just want to give a few shout outs to you. Emmanuel says, good morning, big man. We are waiting. Well, I'm here. Somebody says loud and clear, this is what I want to. The consummate vlogger's dream is to read those two words, loud and clear. As long as you can get what I'm saying loud and clear. Do you realize, just to give you a side note, this is a side note for those of you vloggers, do you know that sound trumps picture? Do you know what that means? It means sound is more important than picture. You can have a beautifully lit set. You can have a fantastic camera, but as long as the sound is all messed up, people are going to start dropping like flies. So sound is very important. Thank you so much. Floyd says, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let us begin. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, Mark Zuckerberg, and Mark, if you're watching this, and I know somebody says, how presumptuous of you, Mr. Moya. Why would Mark be watching you? Well, you never know. With Facebook, anybody can watch you. Anyone from the president to the prime minister to the sultan of Brunei could be watching. Mark Zuckerberg, this was about 8 days ago. I posted a video of UPND cadres beating up some guy, a dreadlocked-induced guy, somewhere here in the city of Lusaka. And I posted that video to demonstrate the thuggery, the sheer brutality, the barbaric nature of these people we call cadres. And they're all the same. Doesn't matter which party they belong to. It's all a bunch of the same crooks eating from the same pot. And my purpose, the reason I posted that video of these thugs who were donned, you know the word donned, who were dressed in UPND regalia. Now, whether or not they were UPND, that's a different topic altogether. That's an entirely different matter. What we're talking about is that there was a guy that was clearly wearing a UPND beret, not a barret. Beret, guys, it's a beret. Those little hats, they're called berets. They're not barrets. Barrets, it's beret. So this young UPND guy, well, he claims to be, and they all claim to be, was wearing a red beret, beating up on some young man, sitting on him. And, well, the moment I posted that, Mark Zuckerberg turns around to me and he says, Mwewa, you can't post that. That's violence. That goes against our community guidelines. Boom! What does Mark do? Throws me in Facebook jail for 7 days. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. Mark, what kind of organization are you running over there in Silicon Valley? Somebody said, well, be careful. Mark's going to shut you down. He very well could. Well, that's the reason I've been off Facebook for about 8 days maximum. I think it's been 8 days, 7, 8 days, something. And I'll be honest with you, there's something about being blocked from Facebook that really gives you a moment of pause. It really does. I mean, it helps you think better. You see things clearer. You see things clearer. It gives you a moment of introspection. It gives you a moment where you, in hindsight, you sort of look at things and see things differently. And I think it's really important, especially vloggers, people that are called influencers. They call us this. They call us influencers, whatever the heck that means. If you have any level of influence, I think that it's important for you to every so often, every once in a while, to be prohibited, to be blocked from these huge platforms, because we speak into the lives of so many people. And I don't mean that as I'm not trying to say that I'm somebody. I'm nobody. I'm just a little piece of the puzzle, But my point is this. I think that it's important sometimes to sort of reassess, kind of look at yourself more closely. And the one thing, I must share this with you. The one thing I've learned from this recent blocking is that and I know this is a lesson that we as vloggers have to consistently learn. We have to consistently reaffirm, over the course of our cyberspace life, we're going to make these gaffes every so often, but it's important every so often to sort of understand that there are times, and this is what I've learned. I learned that not everything has to be reactionary. Not everything deserves a response immediately. I think there's certain things that when they happen, give it a couple of days. Wait a few days before you respond. And I know that's very difficult to do on Facebook because, everything now, especially with the advent of live Facebook, everything now is in real time. And so when you wait too long and you comment on something that happened a week ago, people on Facebook will look at you like a calf looking at a new gate. And they will say to you, well, that happened a week ago. Now, Chelwa, that ship sailed. That ship went a long time ago. It sailed on the ocean. I said ship, okay, S-H-I-P, because I know some of you misunderstand that. I don't speak like that. I don't use vulgarity, folks. So sometimes it's important, I think, to pause, to wait at least a few days before you comment on something so that you get more information so that you know what you're talking about. I'll never forget, and I have to say this, I'll never forget, and I know, I avoid reading the comments while I'm addressing you because the comments are so distracting. I guarantee you there's somebody on here saying, wait, my bando's yarapa, can you get to the point? Well, I'm not doing that, okay? If you don't have promotional bundles to stick with me throughout this broadcast, honey, catch it on the replay. I'm not going to rush for you, okay? I'm not doing it. I'm not rushing for you. So if you don't have the bundles, honey, to the left, in the words of Beyonce, to the left, catch this on the replay. Now, what was I saying? Please remind me in the comment. What was I saying? What was I saying? I forget what I was saying. See there? All right. Let me begin by, and I want to be careful with my words today because I know what I'm talking about. See there? Peter Manga says, get to the point. Well, Peter, you can catch it on the replay. I'm not rushing for you, okay? All right. You remember, and I'm going to begin now. I don't mean to sound facetious. And I'm very serious now. I'm not joking. This is very serious business. And I think that there comes a time in the life of a vlogger where you comment on things that have weighty consequences. Weighty, heavy consequences. And so in those moments, we have to be careful that we tread carefully. And I'm going to do that today. You remember, around the 15th of September, if memory serves me correct, the Anti-Corruption Commission issued a series of statements. And they, along with those statements, they made it known to the public that they were carrying out several different investigations on certain people that had been accused of some type of crime. And one of the things that the ACC announced, one of the things they said, among many other things, they said a plethora of things, but one of the things that they announced, and this is one of the items that made the news, at least on social media, it made the news. The ACC representative, a lady, said that they were investigating the activities of a known Lusaka counselor that had purchased or allegedly purchased a bank. Full stop. That's where they left it. They didn't elaborate. They didn't tell us any names. They didn't divulge any information beyond that. They left it at that. Now, when they did that, what they in a sense did was, it was like taking a piece of meat and throwing it into a den of lions. You tell me what happens when you throw a piece of fresh meat in a den of hungry lions. Well, the obvious is what happens. They will devour it. And so here it is, the ACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, made an announcement, threw it into the public domain, and social media, being the vivacious beast that it is, took that piece of meat. And oh, I tell you what, we devoured it for all it was worth. Crown TV, which is an online news platform here on Facebook. Prime TV were the first ones that actually gave a name. They mentioned the former president's daughter. They mentioned her name and they said that she was under investigation for having purchased a bank for 300 million kwacha. Myself, I, along with several other influencers on Facebook, we quoted Crown TV and we published that same story. And of course, we added our own twist to the story, our own opinions to the story. And as a direct consequence of publishing that story, there were about 6 or 7 of us. In the public domain, the former president's daughter's name was being mentioned as having bought this bank at 300 million. That was the assumption. Immediately, the former president's daughter issued a statement, and she said, and of course this is all in the public, and she was very adamant, she was very clear. She said, I do not have the capacity to purchase a bank. I do not have the capability, the wherewithal, or the dexterity. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but basically that's what she said. She said, I don't have the capacity to buy a bank. These allegations are both defamatory and they are false. And anyone that is peddling this lie will be sued. A day after that, I received a letter from Makebi, is it Makebi? Makebi Zulu? I have it here. Makebi Zulu. This is it here. Can you read that? Can you see that? Makebi Zulu. This letter was a demand letter, and it came to me, and it said in here, no uncertain terms, it said, Mr. Mwewa, we are aware that you have posted information that has placed our client in bad light, and we feel that your comments on your Facebook page were retrogressive, and our client demands that you apologize and retract. I had a meeting with all of my colleagues on Facebook, Crown TV, Southern Media, the rest of them, because we've all been sued jointly. All of us have been sued. So we began to talk and we began to sort of, discuss what is the way forward, no pun intended. And in the midst of those discussions, we came to a conclusion. And I won't really share that part because I don't have permission to share that part of my conversation with my colleagues. That's up to them. But let me just say that after this meeting that I had with my Facebook colleagues, a day after this, I decided then to apologize in my personal capacity. I apologized for having hurt her because the truth is, at that time, we were simply going on the strength of what the ACC had said. We deduced, we concluded that when the ACC says a known Lusaka counselor Well, there's only one name that really pops into your head. And we quoted Crown TV. Now, after I made that apology, I was settled because, as I said in the apology, I had met Tasila Lungu 3 times. And each one of my encounters with her were very cordial. I found her to be a very pleasant person, very engaging, very smart lady, both in appearance and intellect. And I, there's certain people you meet that you like immediately, you get along with them immediately. She was one of them. And I liked her. I really did. And so the strength of my apology was based on my interactions with her. It wasn't based upon the allegations. I mean, I really looked at the letter and I said to myself, I recalled each time that I would meet her, the times that I ran into her, the 3 times I ran into her, and there was no malice there. I never ever found her to be an abrasive person. There was no reason for me to sort of be angry with her because there was nothing to be angry with her about. She was very nice to me every single time. So what I'm trying to tell you is that my apology was based on that. It had nothing to do with the information or this alleged bank purchase. Now, let me get to the crux of the issue. The reason, after I apologized, I received a writ of summons. You lawyers, correct me if I'm wrong, is that what's called, a writ of summons? A document saying, Mr. Moyer, we're taking you to court. Now, this was after I'd apologized. And when I went through the summons, some information has come to me, authentic information, that shook me to the core. And I'm going to take a moment here and I'm going to pause. Because what I'm about to tell you is stuff that you hear about in the movies. I mean, literally. This is stuff you hear about in gangster movies. This is Godfather stuff. You know the movie The Godfather? That's what this is. This is the American gangster stuff. Remember the American gangster, Denzel Washington and what's the other guy's name? The guy that did Gladiator. What was his name? Tell me in the comments. Russell Crowe. There you go. Russell Crowe. This is the information I'm about to share with you is it's gangster stuff. When this information, I came to the knowledge of this information, I realized the PF administration was a gangster organization. Are you hearing that? Are you getting that? I want that to sink in for a moment. When I received the information and the data and the evidence that I have right now, this moment, I realize and understand that the Patriotic Front was a gangster, criminal organization. And it was from there that I decided to retract my apology. Let me tell you, you guys have been talking about Faith Musonda. Faith Musonda. You're talking about 65 million kwacha, which is about $4 million. The information I have now here, and this is a fact, and I'm willing to present this in court. It will make Faith Musonda look like Little Red Riding Hood on a summer's day, picking daisies along the road. I'm going to say that again. The information that I have now, the information that has compelled me to withdraw my apology, and I am willing to face Tasila Lungu in court, the information is so damaging, it will make Faith Musonda look like Little Red Riding Hood on a summer's day picking daisies on the side of the road. Listen to me, Zambia. They were gangsters. They were gangsters. And everything they did for themselves. They did for self-profit. They did for self-aggrandizement. And they did it at the expense of this nation. Mark my words. They are in for a bumpy ride. And here's the thing. President Lungu is not there to protect them. I want you to stick that in your pipe, and I want you to smoke it. Let me go further and say, this information is so damaging that if we were in Italy, I'd have been dead by now. If we were in 1935 America, New York City, I'd have been whacked by now. Are you getting what I'm saying? This is the type of information people get killed for. And just so you know, if anything happens to me, you know where to look. And I'm not joking when I say that. I'm very serious when I say that. Look into my eyes. If anything happens to me, you know where to look. Did you catch that? Did you hear that? That comes from a very serious place. You're not in Kansas anymore. This is serious. Okay. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. God bless you.